Hola a todos. Tenemos información muy interesante. If you sell to the Hispanic audiences in the United States, well, this webinar is for you. And we are going to talk about something super interesting, which is Netflix advertising. First of all, we're going to see some data here. The Hispanic audiences or audience is streaming first. So 55.8% of Hispanic viewers TV time is spent streaming versus 46% of the general US population. So first of all, we know that Hispanics prefer streaming, and this is because of these are some of the reasons why. And something that's also very important is that representation isn't optional. It's directly related to performance. And what's representation in marketing? Well, this is when you can correlate or relate directly to the person that you are seeing in the ad or in the show. So if you look alike the person physically or mentally, if you find this connection with what you are seeing, then it's a very good opportunity to build this brand affinity, and it turns to be more culturally relevant.
Yeah, so just a quick background of Simpli.fi is we are an ad tech platform, right? So the main word there is tech, right? We are, we're the platform that places the ads in front of, your target audience. We're the platform that, when you're saying, hey, I was just reading about, or looking at new shoes online, and now I'm seeing all these ads for shoes. That's because we're that tech platform that is collecting the data and then placing the ads in front of you, to where now all of a sudden you're thinking, is my phone listening to you? Like, no, it's not, but it's probably the closest thing to it, right? You're throwing a lot of data out there, we're collecting it. And so that's what we do at Simpli.fi, is making sure that your advertisements are going in front of the right people.
That's great, and we are going to talk later about this partnership and how can we work together to deliver you the best marketing strategies to arrive to more people.
Well, I mean, more than just Netflix, right? Streaming TV it's been on the rise for a while. More people are watching streaming TV than they're watching cable. A lot of people, are continuing to cut that cord. They don't want to pay the cable subscription, and they can then go and kind of, subscribe to the different services that they want. But when you think of original streaming TV, Netflix is king, right? That's the one where everybody, you think back to COVID and everybody was watching all these new shows on Netflix, right? Netflix has been around a while. And so the opportunity to advertise on Netflix it's fantastic. It's keep coming out that are tailored to, the Hispanic market. All of the shows that, are coming out, in Spanish, it's basically a match made in heaven, right? This is the perfect opportunity, to advertise, to make sure and to know that you're getting in front of this huge market in the country that really drives, drives sales, drives revenue, and especially, here in Dallas, like.
Yes, it totally is. It's the time for it. And, also something that you said, that this is now open for small and medium businesses.
But, in the past, before this opportunity, I think, a lot of the minimums that you would see, you'd have to go straight to Netflix, and it was about $15,000 a month, which for smaller, medium-sized businesses, that's a lot, right? For some businesses, that's your whole advertising budget.
Yeah.
And through the partnership that we have with Netflix, that minimum is actually $1,000 a month. And so it opens up, so much opportunity again, right? Whether you want to show your ads to a metro like the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, to a few zip codes right around your, your storefront, to the nation, if you have the budget for that, like, it just, the opportunity is, probably a few months old now. I think we released it in March. And it's just one of those things where, when you say streaming TV, people are like, okay, yeah, but when you say Netflix, that's
It's
when you start getting
different.
some ears.
Now let's talk about precision at scale. So how do you put ads in Netflix? What data do you use?
Yeah. So there's two different kind of places that we get data. One is through Netflix, right? They have their own type of data, right? And when you sign up for Netflix, you kind of give them certain data, right? Age, gender. So they're also, they're taking account of maybe what you're watching. So they kind of know a little bit about you, right? Like if they were to come check out uh, you know, my house's Netflix account, it's like they would see I watch a lot of, sports and documentaries, and my wife watches, Bridgerton and Emily in Paris, right? And so there's, but they're taking all that data and they're using that to basically say, hey, like we know who's watching what, and we can, then we can help you target. The other thing, and this is even a better opportunity, right? And you can see it on the screen, is Amazon ads. And this is something that we just released 2 weeks ago. Right.
This
And
is huge.
it's amazing. And maybe that's another conversation about like all the things we can do just in terms of advertising on Amazon Prime and Prime Sports and even Twitch, if you know what that is. But in terms of Netflix in general, we can actually take Amazon audience data and use it to target on Netflix. And really what that means is think about all the things you buy on Amazon, right? Amazon is now taking that data to basically say, hey, you just bought, like take me, for example, I just bought a couple things for my home gym and some protein powder. So what do you think in terms of advertisements I might see on Netflix soon? Different things about fitness, health, right? Sports, because that's what they're seeing is they're saying this guy buys certain things and related to fitness and sports. And so we're going to show him those ads that are relevant.
That's great. And now we know that you will have all the necessary data. You will have the best team on organizing and crossing this data with Simplify, and like you can have everything for an structured campaign. But now, what about the creative side? And this is where Vaquero enters, because you need to put an ad that has a great narrative, that has great
Mm.
visuals, and that isn't annoying for the person. And that's when we start to cross data with creativeness, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. The worst thing you want is, like, hey, you can come to Simplify and say, hey, this is who I want to target and I want to be on Netflix. But if you bring a bad advertisement, it's not going to
Won't
work.
work.
Right. Yeah, it's just it won't, and it's unfortunate, but it won't, and it's a waste of money, right? And so and we are not a creative service. Unfortunately, we are all about, again, the tech, the placement of the ads, the data. All right, we're not necessarily over here shooting commercials, and even further than that, we don't have a ton of research and everything into the Hispanic markets. All right, and that's where the partnership with Vaquero comes in, because you know they have everything in terms of, like, they've done all the research, they know what's relevant, they have experience creating these ads. They bring it to us, then we say, all right, cool, now we will place it, right? And we'll make sure that it's in front of everybody that you want it to be in front of, and then we'll collect the data to make sure that that actually worked, right? So that we can come back and say, hey, we're not just going to say, hey, let's set the ad and forget it. We don't set it, forget it. We actually bring proof into it, and we'll talk about that, I know, in a couple slides. But yeah, right, the advertisement is, it's, all in all, the advertisement is the most important thing, right? We can do all the targeting we want, but the ad really sets the stage on, is this going to be effective? And the good thing about Netflix and the good thing about Amazon, the good thing about we do at Simpli.fi, is we put this thing called a frequency cap on there. If you don't know what that is, it really just means we're going to make sure that a certain household, right, whatever household you're targeting, doesn't see an ad too many times in a row, right? And so basically, usually that cap might be 3 or 4 times per day. And it doesn't mean that every household is going to see an ad 3 to 4 times a day, but it just means there is no way that we're going to let a household see your ad more than 3 to 4 times a day, because the last thing we want is for people to get annoyed of your ad, and then they get what's called brand fatigue, and then they're just turned off to your brand because the ad is just it's just playing in their head constantly. It's just stuck in their head, and they want nothing to do with you. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen, right?
You. And this might sound maybe a little bit confusing, like where do I start? How can I do this?
Yeah.
Will this work?
Correct. Yeah. Really, from idea to launch, a lot of it, and as a client of Vaquero, like a lot of what you are going to be doing, or basically all of your interaction, is with them. Right. So they're the subject matter experts when it comes to the Hispanic market, when it comes to creatives that work, when it comes to, hey, what's relevant, in terms of, how your ads should look and branding and all of that, right? They're gonna set you up there, right? They're gonna have those conversations with you and figure out who do we want to target, what do we want to say, all of that. And then
Yeah.
once you've got that figured out, they come to us and basically say, hey, this is what we want, right? And we take it from there. And
Yeah.
so then that's where our partnership with Netflix comes in. And that's where we're able to say, cool, you know what? Like, we have this great creative, right? We've got this great ad. We've got this targeting concept. We know exactly what we're going to do. We've got a budget that works, and we put it all together.
And it's really simple. We are going to guide you in every step. And of course, the final step is always, is this working? How is this performing? How do we know that
Mm-hmm.
that you are making a good job? And that's why we added here a couple of case studies that Josh is going to explain to us. And well, we know that Netflix is brand new, and with this Amazon data integrated, etc. So uh, the case studies that we are going to see next might not be exactly from Netflix, but they can show us how Simplify works with the data.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, when I talk to, prospects or clients or other people, right, is like they don't know who Simplify is. And so here's a really good idea of like, hey, this is what we do. This is what we've been doing for, I think, 16 years now. If you're in the Dallas area and you ever go down to the stockyards in Fort Worth, you'll actually see where our company is located. It's right across the street from the Drover. So we are legit. But this is what we do, right? We place ads in front of target audiences, and we collect data to make sure that it's working, right? The biggest question, two questions I always see from people is, hey, like, will I see my ad? Which I can't guarantee you're going to see your ad. If you're not in your target audience, I hope you don't see your ad. And then also, how do I know it's working, right? And we're always going to collect data to know that it's working. In this case study right here, we actually we're working with a fast food brand, right? A multi-location fast food brand. We have a lot of partners who are multi-location and franchisees. We actually have some cool new capabilities when it comes to franchises. So if you're a franchise, hey, talk to Vaquero, reach out to us, right? But we were able to actually build this custom targeted audience on our platform, serve ads, right? Tons of different variables when it comes to demographic targeting. And again, it's not something that we can, unfortunately, not something we can do on Netflix or Amazon, but something we can do on our platform is we can track foot traffic conversions. And that's what we saw here, was we were able to actually serve the ads to the target audience and then see how many people saw an ad and walked into the store, right? So again, just one way that we were able to prove that this actually works, that advertising works, right? That your dollars are going to the right places and bringing, in the end, bringing back revenue. Right? You're sending out money and you're hoping it comes back, and we're actually able to prove that. And there's another case study. This one's a little shorter, obviously. There wasn't as much that this client was actually looking for. They really wanted to build brand awareness. I will say with Netflix, with Amazon, it's not that we can't collect data. Unfortunately, it's the foot traffic conversions that we can't do, but online conversions, right? Whether it's, hey, they bought from my Amazon storefront, or they actually went to my website and bought something, purchased something, scheduled something, right? Did something on your website. We can track that, right? So there is data that we can collect in relation to Netflix and Amazon advertising, right? We're talking Netflix mostly here, but still. But yeah, in this case, this was a great one, just about building brand awareness, right? They weren't necessarily worried about like, oh, are we getting a ton of clicks, or are we getting this? They just wanted, again, to build that awareness, people to know who they were. And then they kind of, on their end, were able to say, hey, we actually started putting money into this advertising at this point, and since then we have seen an uptick in sales. So just a good reminder that even if we aren't necessarily able to track everything, right, or track those foot traffic conversions that you really might like, you also can just there's going to be some sort of correlation there, some sort of connectivity, where it's like, as you spend more in advertising, right, it's working,
Yeah.
because you'll start to see more on your side in terms of store visits, revenue, all of that.
Yes, yes, totally. So it's really great to see these results. They really help to increase the trust in you guys and
Mm-hmm.
in these strategies that we can do together, because they are huge opportunities for our clients together. And so, what's next? Well, it's very easy. Reach out, contáctanos, podemos platicar, or we can just talk about the opportunities.
And I would just say, one, thanks for having me. Always love talking, advertising, Netflix. It is my job. It's what I love to do.
Thank you very much for this, Josh. It was really interesting. I can't wait to create ads for companies that are seeing the opportunity here. This is something new. This is something huge. So let's talk. Thank you.
Thank you.